chips, requested by Quilting Queen 3. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to make these today. I have the oil heating up. I've got the potatoes cut, and I'm going to make a powder to put on top of them when they're done. We're going to do it two ways, with salt and this seasoned topping. So what I have in here right now are 4 teaspoons of buttermilk powder. We're going to put in a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm using a little bit over, so I'm heaping it up there a little bit. A teaspoon of onion powder. Once again, I'm over. Teaspoon of garlic powder. And about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, which I'm almost out here. I need to fill this up, so we'll put a teaspoon. And then I'm still working on the sugar content, but I think that what I've come up with is a heaping tablespoon of sugar in there, which I know sounds weird, but it's kind of an interesting yumminess. So I am just grinding this as hard as I can to make sure that this is a powder and that it sticks to the chips as much as possible. And the nice thing about this is that I can actually taste it to see if I like the combination. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's ready. The recipe called for russet. These work great. And I sliced them on a mandolin at 1/16 of an inch, and they're a thinner potato chip, not very, very thin, but it's actually perfect for what you're doing. This is a matter of choice. It happens to work really well with this recipe. And so I got them ready early, put them in ice cold water. One thing, it helps get rid of some of that starch in there, and the other thing is it keeps them fresh and crisp and waiting, and they don't turn brown while they're waiting to be used. So the only thing is you can't put all that water in the oil. I'm using vegetable oil today. So what I'm doing is I'm going to dry them off. I'm just going to take these out, and then I'm going to lay them all out loosely individually. Get a few more. You can put quite a few in the oil. It drops the temperature quite a bit, and so I kind of like to split this batch up. It just seems easier to me. Okay, and then I just take another paper towel on top of that and just dry those off. Okay, that looks great. This is going to bubble like crazy, so you have to be really careful when you put these in. The bubbling is a good sign. It's supposed to do that, but just know that it's going to bubble, and be careful when you put those in there. The temperature is at somewhere between 350 and 375 for this first piece. And they take about 15 minutes in total to cook. You put them in, see how bubbly that is? You put them in at a high temperature, and we're gonna cook these at this higher temperature. It does drop, but we're about 340 right now. I'm gonna keep that up as high as I can for this first 5 minutes. And what's gonna happen is the bubbles are gonna slow down just a bit, and the edges are gonna start to set, like whatever shape the French fry is going to be in, they'll start. So we'll put that on, and I'm gonna put the timer on for about, I'd say 7 minutes with what we have in there. And the thing is, you start something like this and you think because they're so thin, it's gonna take a little amount of time, but a potato is a potato, and they take the same amount of time to cook that they take. It's at least 15 minutes, but oh, is it worth it. Okay, so the buzzer has gone off on these, and I just wanted you to see how if you can see in here, these are all setting, and that's what you're looking for now. And now we're going to try to keep the temperature about under 340 for the rest of this and let them brown up and finish crisping up. And this takes another probably, I would say 6 to 8 minutes to get to that point. But they're coming along. That's exactly what they're supposed to look like in the middle of this cook. And now we're just gonna crisp these up at a little bit lower temperature. So I've let the temperature go down by turning down the burner just a bit. And I'm just gonna try to keep it at this temperature. I have a new apron. It says Kitchen in the Shire. I'm very happy about this. It's my merch. As you can see here, the bubbles that started off so quickly and fast and furious are settling down, and that's partly because of the temperature, but they'll stop almost altogether by the time these are perfectly done. So it's another sign to look for. The bubbles when you're frying are really, really important. If I didn't have this here, I would be able to cook them anyway just by looking at the bubbles. And you can see how toasty, oh, they're looking really good. Just want to take them right to the edge of where you like them, but I'm going to keep going here for another few minutes. See how see those bubbles? They're just there. We're going to leave this going. At this point, you can take one out, a lighter one, and just see how that one's, if it's crunching when you open it, and it is. So I'm going to give these one more minute. It's hot and very crunchy, yummy. Okay, so we're going to take these out now. I've turned the heat off, and we're going to drain them just a little bit, but you're going to put them on a towel. And while this doesn't look like it, this is just a clean towel that's just happens to be stained a little bit. And now I have about 30 seconds to put, I'm not going to use all of this because this is for an entire recipe and I haven't cooked the whole recipe. So I'm going to put a handful of that in there by about a third because I've used about a third. And I'm going to put some of these in here. And then I've got 2 bowls here. And I'm going to take them and just gently shake them around, tip them over. You don't want to bang them like you do with garlic if you're trying to peel it. You just want to gently and they're hot. That's going to fade down into, you won't see that after a few minutes. So those are the coated potato chips. We'll come back and try those in a minute. And then I'm going to take my salt over here, and because these are still a little bit oily, I'm just going to, you can also shake these, but I find it just as easy to douse them with a little bit of salt, turn them over, and give them a little bit more. And I've basically got a 4-finger pinch going on top of these. And then you just taste them. So, oddly enough, I picked up the sugar container and put sugar on these first, and when I tasted them, realized it was sugar. So I've now added a little bit of salt, but I have to tell you that the little bit of sugar that I put on there, mixed with the salt, is so freaking delicious. I'm going to do some more of them with exactly that, just a couple of sprinkles of sugar and then some salt, and they're really quite tasty. So I just wanted to clarify that even a mistake can turn out sweet. And you can play around with this. You don't have to use exactly what I've used in here. You could put chives, ground chives or anything you want to put in here. It would be interesting to hear your ideas on that. Okay, let's see if we can make potato chips in an air fryer come anywhere near close to tasting as good as a regular potato chip.